Good morning. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please welcome Sophia with this morning's announcements.
Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, December 2nd, and it's a white day. Makeup photos will be taken on Fuller Stage on Wednesday from 8:30 to 3 o'clock. Students who are having their photos retaken and would like to have new prints made must return all their original prints or they will be charged for new prints. The following boys soccer players need to meet Mr. Legge in front of Fuller for a photo immediately following chapel: Zach Wood, Luke Oliver, Wesley Strong, James Hatch, and Tatum Steen. Reminder, the Giving Tree gifts need to be returned to Mrs. Scovito in C303 today. About half of the gifts have not been dropped off at this point. If you have a gift that is on the way, please email or stop by with a tag number and when to expect the gift to be dropped off. Thanks for your generosity. The Math Club is hosting Contest 3 of the New England Math League on Tuesday, December 9th in Fuller Basement from 8 to 8:30. An email has been sent to sign up for this competition. Congratulations to the top scorers on Contest 2. Nico Borden earned perfect 6 out of 6, with Alexei Strokanov and Jonah Razor being close behind with scores 5 out of 6. The top scoring 9th grade student was Maria Corol. Our team score was a 24 out of 30. Happy birthday today to Addison Ely and Piper Araldi. Happy birthday. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you, Sophia. So next I'm going to turn the stage over to some members of our 9th grade class with a promotion. Please welcome them to the stage.
Oh, jolly. I could really go for a reindeer hamburger right now.
Or even better, a candy cane. Or 3.
I wish there was some way to show appreciation to my friends and acquaintances this holiday season.
Hey, that's a great idea. Maybe we could do it on a $5 or maybe even a $2 budget. Man, am I really craving some Skittles right now.
Ho, ho, ho! I bring many gifts and treasures for the good children of St. Johnsbury Academy. I've had the elves whip up something magical for this beautiful season: peppermint and Skittles candy canes.
I'm Jonah.
I'm Cora.
I'm Ivan.
I'm Kenzie.
And I am Marshall.
We, the class of 2029, are selling candygrams.
Next week, Monday, December 8th through Thursday, December 11th.
They will be in the dining hall, $2 for 1 and $5 for 3.
Traditional peppermint and Skittles flavors are available.
Send them to your friends, teachers, and crush? Question mark, question mark, question mark? Oh, what a jolly amount of fun. Let the season begin with a sweet treat.
I think that
was beautiful. Nice job. Thank you. All right, so now we're going to continue our social studies speaker series, and so please join me in welcoming Mr. Beck to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to see you all here today. I'm actually thrilled. I thought I'd be looking at a lot of empty chairs today, so congratulations to all of you that made it today. Today I want to talk about something that shapes who we are, how we live, and how we think. In social studies, we call it the power of place. In social studies, this concept reminds us that geography isn't just about maps and mountains. It's about how the land influences culture, history, and community. And here in Vermont, the power of place is everywhere. Think about this landscape: rolling green mountains, fertile valleys, and winding rivers. These features have shaped Vermont's identity and economy for centuries. A rugged terrain made large-scale farming difficult, if not impossible. So instead of sprawling plantations, Vermont developed small, family-run farms. This geography fostered a culture of independence and self-reliance, values that still define Vermont today. The climate plays a role too. Harsh winters and short growing seasons taught Vermonters to be resourceful and frugal. Communities had to work together to survive, creating a strong sense of neighborliness. Even now, when a snowstorm hits, we see that same spirit, neighbors helping neighbors dig out, sharing firewood, or pulling each other's car out of a ditch. Perhaps some of you will get to experience this firsthand this afternoon. Economically, the power of place is clear. Vermont has never been dominated by large cities that emerged in the 19th century. Instead, our forests gave rise to a thriving timber industry and eventually maple syrup. Later, dairy farming followed sheep and became central to our economy because our hills and pastures were well suited to grazing cows. Even today, when you see a jug of Vermont maple syrup or a block of Cabot cheese, you are seeing geography turned into culture and commerce. The concept of power of place isn't restricted to geography and economy. In many parts of Vermont, including this area, private secondary education predated government requirements in the 19th century to provide a public high school education. This is impacting your daily life right now as you sit in your seat in Fuller Hall. Specifically, once you survive middle school and become a ninth grader, you get to choose where you go to high school. This is more than a century-long tradition in much of Vermont. You've chosen St. Johnsbury Academy, and I am thankful for that decision. But you didn't have to, and you are fortunate to have the ability to choose because of the power of place in this corner of Vermont. Have a great day and enjoy the snow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. Appreciate hearing those comments. We certainly have a lot to be proud of in this little corner of Vermont in our great state. So I appreciate your comments. Chef Hale stopped in the head's office yesterday, and we were chatting a bit about his Thanksgiving, and he told a story about coming north from where he was spending time over the holiday, and he said that as he came through the notch, like oftentimes this time of year, when you come through the notch, the weather is just different. And when you hit the notch, suddenly things tend to slow down because precipitation is different. And he described a situation that immediately for me sparked some memory, and that was that he had someone with a line of cars going 25 pull right up on his bumper and begin to tailgate him. And for him, I actually was pretty impressed because that for me is actually a bit triggering. I get a little irritated when people ride right on my bumper. And I actually, I start to tell myself some stories and what it will look like if we get into an accident because of their tailgating, and so on and so on. So maybe some of you can relate to this. But we all tell ourselves some narratives. And I think about this time of year, we had it this morning. I watched a number of you. You came into chapel a few minutes later than you normally do. We tend to find ourselves, even though it's a time to hunker down and enjoy some hygge, but it's also a time where we're forced to rush a little bit because our patterns have to change. The weather certainly changes that. And all these things, as they come together, they made me think a bit about us coming to school, having to rush, and I wonder if any of you had anyone who was riding right on your bumper this morning. Hopefully, there's nobody in Fuller Hall who would be the tailgater, but I imagine that some people do it and don't even realize they're doing it. But it takes me back about 12 years as I think about tailgating. And I remember our boys were little at the time. We decided around this time of year, about 10, 12 years ago, we were going to get a foosball table as a big gift. And at the time, that was an expensive gift. And so I found a foosball table on eBay. And it was being sold down in southern New Hampshire near Portsmouth. And so I got on the road and I took my sedan, which I figured out if I took the foosball table apart, I could probably fit it in the trunk. And so drove down south, and of course, I hit a storm. And I successfully got the foosball table. That's not really part of the story so much, but I did wedge that thing into the sedan and started driving north, and the roads got really messy. Started to get quite slick, And what happened? Of course, I had someone who decided they had four-wheel drive and really good tires, and they did not like how fast I was driving through a one-lane closure, and so they were right on my bumper. And I was thinking about this when Chef Hale shared this yesterday. We got to 2 lanes again, it opened back up, and the person zoomed off much, much faster than I felt comfortable going. And about 10 minutes up the road, there they were in the median. They had slid off the road, and all of this happened relatively quickly. So the family that was in the car was a young family with 2 little girls who were in the back seat, and they were trying to get the kids out of this truck. And my first feeling when I first saw the car up in the median, I thought, well, you got what you deserved. Which wasn't terribly charitable, because as I got closer, again, here's this young family, and so I thought to myself, geez, I wonder if they were in a big hurry. They've got these 2 little kids, maybe they have somebody who's sick in the back seat. There are any number of stories that could be true, and so all of this is a case of how we talk to ourselves when things tempt us to be frustrating. And there's actually a phrase for this. It's called cognitive reappraisal. And so this cognitive reappraisal is how we speak to ourselves when we get agitated, when we get triggered and frustrated. And again, so I think of tailgaters, and again, when I was a bit younger, it really used to frustrate me. And in fact, I couldn't think of much else as I was driving down the road. And I imagined, geez, should I hit the brakes and really tick this person off? But geez, some risk having my car run into. But all these irrational thoughts, which were fueled by anger and irritation, those weren't helpful for me. And the person behind me, they don't care, right? So this is only harmful to me. So again, about 10 years ago, right around the time I had this situation down in southern New Hampshire, I started to think about what I was telling myself, how I was talking to myself in these situations. So the Center for Creative Leadership, there's a leader there. Her name is Dr. Maren Burton, and she talks a lot about cognitive reappraisal. And what she says is when you get immersed in your own experience, try to zoom out and go to the balcony and look down on yourself and the others in the situation in which you're getting frustrated or possibly emotional about. She goes on to say that sometimes the situation is indeed as you may initially assume. So sometimes tailgaters are just tailgaters because they can't help themselves. They're always in a hurry, and you're never going to be going fast enough for their liking. But other times there could be a different story. There could be a story where maybe somebody is rushing off to the hospital because they have a pregnant loved one in the car and they're trying to get to the hospital quickly. Maybe there's another emergency. But again, in the end, Dr. Maren Burton says, if you stop and you think of the event and you zoom out to the balcony and you look down, you think about your story, your initial tempted story, you're tempted to tell yourself, and then imagine another story that could possibly be happening. And the result is more often than not that you land at a new empathy for the people involved in that story. And in the end, this is one of the best things that we can do for ourselves. So, as we get into the season of, again, both hunkering down, but also feeling like we've got to change our timing and we're rushing about, or whether we have other things that tend to trigger us and make us a little bit irritated or tempt us to feel that way, I'd encourage all of us to step back and cognitively reappraise our situation and our story. Have a great day, faculty.